Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Shruti. In this video, I will show you how to interact with the frames. Okay, so first let us understand what are frames. Okay, so frames are nothing but mini web pages inside the main web page. Okay, so usually the content from the mini web page is from different website, or sometimes it can be from the same website. Okay, so how to identify we have frames in web page? Okay, so it is simple. Okay, when you inspect in dev tools, just just do control F and type the frame tag. Okay, just type frame tag. Here we can see five matching elements. It means in this page we have five frames. Okay, so it is frames, and also sometimes in some applications it is iframes. Okay, usually the frames is outdated. Nowadays people are using iframes. Okay, so but in this application they are not using iframes, it has only frame. Okay, so this is how we can identify there are five frames inside this web page. Okay, so now how to locate these frames in Playwright? Okay, so I'll show you that. Okay, I have created a spec file. So first let us visit the web page. Await space page dot go to. So I'll copy the URL. Okay, it's await. Okay. Okay, so await page go to. So now first let us see how many frames are present in the web page. Okay, so let us get the count. So how to identify the number of frames? For that we need to use page dot frames method. Okay, so we need to use page dot frames to get the number of pages, count of the number of frames present on a page. Okay, so I'll create a variable const number of frames. The variable name I'll give number of frames is equal to, we will get that using page dot frames method. Okay, so now let us print it and see how many frames are present. We'll use backtick number of frames present, or dollar curly braces, the variable is number of frames dot length. So this length will give the number of frames present in our page. Okay, so let me save and execute. So I'll change the file name is frames. So using backticks and printing the information is the modern way of using this. Okay, so we can use double quote also. It launched. Okay, so the number of frames present are 6. Okay, so now I'll show you how to interact with the frames. Okay, so there are three ways to interact with the frames. First one is using name of the frame, or we can use the URL of the frame, or we can use the locator. We can use the locator, or we can also use the index. Okay, so these are all the four ways to interact with the frames. Okay, so first let us see the first one. First let us inspect the frame. Okay, so I will inspect this left frame. Okay, so here it has name. Okay, it has name and also it has URL. This src is URL. Okay, so it means this is coming from different web page. Okay, if you see, this source is different, it is test pages dot something, but here the source is totally different. Okay, so for now I will take name. Okay, so I will use name to interact with this frame. Okay, so how to write a locator in frames? Simple. Okay, page dot frame. Okay, we have to use frame here to interact with the frame. We have to use frame, and we are using name for that. Inside a curly braces, name. Okay, then colon, within a single quote, type the name of the frame. So here the name of the frame is left. Type the name of the frame. Okay, so now to interact with, so I got the name of the frame. Now suppose I want to interact with any of the elements, I need to keep this frame in some variable. Okay, so I will keep this frame in some variable. I will say const frame1. The variable name I will give is frame1. Spelling mistake. Okay, frame1. Okay, so here I am keeping this, the reference of this frame1 inside this variable called frame1. Okay, so using this frame1 variable I will interact with the frame. Okay, so okay, the only interaction we can do with this frame is validating this text. Okay, so if we see here inside this frame, we do not have any input box or button. Okay, so even if it is there, it is easy to interact. Okay, so for now, since we do not have any other elements, let us validate this text. Okay, so this text is inside this h1 tag. Okay, so now I'll show you how to interact with this element using this frame reference. Okay, so here we got the reference of this frame 1. So using that frame 1 dot, first I'll wait for the locator. Okay, so wait for the selector h1. Okay, I will say it should be wait until it's visible. So how to do that? Inside the curly braces I will say state visible. Inside a single quote I'll type visible. Okay, so I'll remove this question mark. I will say why. Okay, so here if we mouse over on this variable, it is saying frame1 is possibly null, because here it can be frame named left or it cannot be there. Okay, so for that it is always good to use if else block. It's good to use if it is present, execute this block or give the error. Okay, so I will say frame1. Okay, so if frame1 is present in the sense here this variable is not returning null, there is some value inside this. Okay, so if it is present, it will go inside this if block, or it will say else, it will execute the else block. So I will say console dot error. So the error is I want to show uh, the left named frame is not present on the page. Okay, so let us print this error. Okay, so now we'll consider that frame 1 is not null, it is present. Okay, so now what we need to do, first we need to let us wait for this selector. Okay, so with the reference of this variable, always take the reference of this variable to interact with any element inside the frame. Okay, await frame1 dot wait for selector. Okay, so I have written down. Okay, h1. So we'll wait until the state becomes visible. Curly braces, state colon, inside single quote visible. Okay, so I'm keeping this inside some variable. Okay, so this is how we should do. Const element something. Okay, ele. So I'm validating that this is visible. Okay, so then what I'm doing, I'll keep this h1 locator in some variable. Okay, so how to keep const locator. Locator, it is, I'll not keep locator. Okay, text. Okay, const text is equal to this frame1. Okay, frame1 dot locator. What is the locator name? h1. I'm keeping this locator inside some variable. Okay, so now what assertion I want to do? I want to do that this text contains, sorry, this h1 tag is left. Okay, for that I will say await expect this text to dot have text, so we are expecting it should be left. Okay, so this is how we will do any assertion inside the frame. Okay, so to get any locator inside this frame, we have to use dot locator, the frame reference dot locator, and get the locator and keep that in some variable and apply any assertion on it. Okay, so now let us execute this and see. So this way is interacting with the frame using name. Okay, so next I will show you URL. Okay, one test is passed. Okay, so this is how we interact using name. Okay, now I will show you how to interact using URL. Okay, so I will take this frame and inspect. So the URL is this one. Okay, so let me copy this URL. Before that, I will comment out this. Okay, now const frame2, I'll create another variable, frame2 is equal to page dot frame. To get the locator of the frame, we need to do page dot frame and inside a curly braces, since it is a URL. Okay, so colon is equal to, inside a single quote, type this URL. Okay, copy it and paste. Okay, so here I've got the reference of this frame and I'm keeping it inside this frame2 variable. Okay, so now I'm using if block. If this is present, frame2 is present, it means it is not null, then I'll go inside this frame, and if I have to click on any button or insert any value, I will do. Since I don't have anything to do on this, I'll just validate this text. Okay, so here also this text is inside this h1 tag. Okay, so what I will say, I will say first I will say wait for the selector. Okay, so frame2 dot wait for the selector. So the selector is h1, and I'll say to wait until the state becomes visible. Okay, so now what I'll do, using this frame to reference, I'll take the locator is in the h1 tag. Okay, so frame2 dot locator. Okay, the locator is h2. I'll keep it h1. Yeah, sorry, it is h1. Okay, so I'll keep this locator in some variable, const the variable name I will say ele. Okay, so now I will say it should have the text middle. Await, expect ele to have text middle. middle. Let me confirm. Okay, it is middle. Okay, so here, uh, suppose if you have a button and we want to click on it, it is same, that is ele dot click. Okay, if suppose it is there, ele dot click, or if we have to enter any value, ele dot fill. So here the locator and some value. Okay, this is how we interact. If it is not, if there is any other elements. Okay, okay, now let me execute this. Okay, this is pass. Okay, so let us execute this report and see. Handling frames. Did you notice one thing here? Actually, it did not go inside the if block, correct? There is no assertion, correct? So it is because the URL we are seeing here is not the actual URL. Okay, so first let us print all the URL and see what we were missing. Okay, so to print all the URL, so here already I have this variable number of frames and it has all the frames. Okay, so now let us print the URLs present inside this variable. Okay, so for that we will use for each. Okay, this is for looping. Okay, to iterate through the frames and it prints the URL. Okay, so I will take this variable number of frames dot for each. Okay, dot for each, and I will keep this in some variable. Okay, in some variable. First time it will print the first URL, then again second time second URL. Okay, so it is iterating. Okay, so now I will print console dot log. So what I want to print, I want to print the frame URL, the URL of the frame. Okay, dot URL. There is a method called URL. Okay, so I want to print this. Okay, so now let us execute this. So this should print us the URLs present. Okay, and then we will see whether the URL we passed is matching or not. Okay, okay, so here the URL what we have passed is name is equal to middle. Okay, so here if we see name is equal to middle, see the complete URL is this one, but here in the application when we inspect we got this URL, but the actual URL is this one. Okay, so for that we will do partial matching. Okay, so we will take the same URL and do the partial matching. So how to do it is very simple. To do the partial matching we need to remove the single quote. Okay, so first I will remove the single quote and put regular expression. Okay, so slash and slash in the URL, then after the list word, this URL, this slash. Okay, so this is how we convert this URL into the complete URL into partial URL. Okay, so when we do this is when the URL we are passing is not matching with the actual URL, then we'll go with partial URL matching. Okay, so now let us execute this. Okay, so now let us go to this report and see. Okay, okay, so here it session is pass. So as we can see, the to have text is having the text middle, so the test is pass. Okay, so now let us see how to interact with the frames using index. Okay, so I'll comment all these lines. Okay, so I don't need these things also. Okay, so now here this page dot frames returns the array of frames. Okay, so array means it always starts from 0. Okay, so now this is frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 4. Okay, and the main page is frame 0. Okay, so now I want to interact with frame 3. Okay, so how to interact with the frame 3? So as you know, this number of frames variable holds the reference of this frames. Okay, so it has all the frames details. Okay, so now I want to go to third frames. So this is, since this is returning array, so it is easy. Number of frames. I want to go to third one, so I will type 2. Okay, so this is how we will go, and I will keep this frame 3 in some variable const frame 3. Okay, so this is frame 3 and the text is right. Correct, let me inspect it. Right text, and it will be having h1 tag. Okay, okay, so let me take this h1 tag. Await, the session I want to do is this frame 3. Okay, so the locator, the frame 3 dot locator, frame 3 dot locator, locator name is h1. Okay, h1 to have text right, to have text right. Okay, so before executing I will explain. Okay, so this page dot frames returns array of frames. Okay, so I'm keeping all these things in this variable, number of variables. So since this is array, this is how we in, this is how we keep anything inside this array using square bracket. Okay, so I'm keeping this third array inside this frame 3 variable, and I'm doing the accession, regular accession. Okay, so now let me execute this. Okay, this is report, let me cancel it. Think I did not comment something. Okay, so here I did not comment the else block. Let me comment this. Okay, let me save again and execute. Now it is executing. Okay, so third one is having the text. Okay, it It is right. We are expecting right, but is third one is left. Okay. So here we'll do some changes. Okay. Let us see. Let me change the array. I'll make it 3. Okay. Let's see if it is not 3, then I'll do something. Okay. Okay. By the time it executes, I'll brief once again. So to interact with frame, we have to use page dot frames. It will give the reference of all the frames. Okay. When we okay, received string middle expected string. Okay, I think this is in frame 4. We give frame 4. Okay, so now it is passing. Okay, so this is how we interact with the frames using index. Okay, so keep all these things in some variable and use square bracket. Its array always starts from 0, so 0 means first frame, 1 means frame 2. Okay, so take the reference of that and interact with the element using the variable dot locator. Okay, so if you want to interact with the frame using the URL, you can use after the frame inside a curly braces URL colon the URL, the value which is inside the SRC tag. Okay, so this is partial matching using regular expression. And the first one is using name. If the frame is having name, we can say inside the curly braces name colon the name of the frame. Okay, so now, please do practice. And if you think you learned something from this video, please support me by hitting the like button. Okay, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching.